Hello everyone, and welcome back. This feels very awkward starting this video because I haven't posted a video in about a month and a half, I think it is. I posted a video a while back, a few months ago, saying I was no longer gonna upload videos every Thursday, and instead I was just gonna do it whenever I felt like it. And the truth is, I haven't felt like it in a month, because not that I've grown tired of booktube by any means, but life has just been hard lately. Not bad, bad's not maybe the right word, but it's just been really stressful. So I'm gonna catch you guys up, so feel free to fast forward and just wait until books and movies appear on the screen if you want to just skip to my reviews of what I've read and watched lately. If you guys follow me on Twitter, I've mentioned this a little bit, and especially if you're part of the Year Horror Book Club that's on Discord. If you're not familiar with that app, I'll have the link down below, but we're reading a different thriller or horror novel every month of the year, so I'll have that link down below. I've been pretty active in there, so if you haven't seen me on YouTube, I've been in there. But both work and personal life have just been really stressful lately, and I'm not saying this to complain by any means, but it's just explaining why I haven't felt like posting. And when I have free time, I felt like just laying down and watching TV and not setting my camera up and filming and editing. I don't talk a ton about work or my personal life on here, but I will just say the company I work at went through, or I guess they're going through right now, a big merger. So the company I work at is basically combining with another company. And if any of you have worked in a company where that's happened, or maybe you have friends in a company that, you know, works where something like that has happened, it is common, but it's also really hard because a lot of people get let go, a lot of people choose to leave, the whole company changes. And when your work, you know, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. is when I normally work for hours, and it's been a lot more than that lately. It's been like I roll over at like 5 or 6 a.m., open up my work email, and I'm like already an hour late to doing things. And part of that's because half my team was let go because of the merger. I'm not going to get into details about the company or anything like that because I like to be pretty private about my personal life, but I've had friends let go. I've had a lot of friends choose to leave. So on the one hand, I feel lucky that I still have a job, but on the other hand, I have, you can Google it, it's called survivor's guilt, where you feel bad your friends have been let go and you're one of the ones who are still there, and then suddenly you have double the amount of work because half of the team is gone. So it's honestly just been really stressful, and I've always been busy with work, but I've never had work where it's so all-consuming. I'm waking up thinking about it, going to bed thinking about it. So that's been really hard. I'll admit that having moved out to the Midwest hasn't been as easy as I thought. I've made some friends. You know, as I said, I had some friends at work, and now they've either been let go or have chosen to leave. And so part of me feels like I'm in my late 20s and suddenly I'm in a new city again. And I'll be honest, I'm just getting so sick of moving. I've moved like 15 times throughout my life total, and I'm just getting tired of it. Especially because I'm far from family. And the other thing that's been hard is my mom has been having some health issues. If you follow, I'm not gonna say because it's not my business, but if you follow her Katie Doll Instagram account, that's her creepy doll Instagram account I've talked about a bunch on here. If you look at her hashtag, she's had maybe a few posts back. You'll understand what she's been dealing with health-wise. I'm not gonna say because it's her business. But luckily she has had surgery recently and she's doing well. But that combination of being stressed with work, being far from family when they're not doing well, that whole combination has been just rough, if I'm being honest. But I have really missed the routine of coming on here and filming videos, so I do want to get back into it just because it also helps me to not think about things that are going on in my personal life. I'm also really excited to unwind. In about 2 weeks, I'm going to be going to Ireland for the very first time on a family trip, and I cannot wait. We'll mainly be in Dublin, Galway, and Killarney, and I believe one other area. So if any of you are either in Ireland or you've been to Ireland, you have recommendations for things to do, things to eat, things to drink, things to see, please let me know. So that is my mini update, and let's get into some of the horror. It's mainly horror that I have read and watched recently. So one of the last books that I read is A Discovery of Witches, and I had heard tons about this. It was very popular, I want to say about 10 years ago, and I did really like the TV show, although I haven't seen all the episodes. Our protagonist is a incredibly powerful witch who's kind of turned her back on the witch community. She falls in love with a vampire, so it's got some romance in there, and it has to do with her discovering this ancient and very important manuscript. And the short summary of this is that I really disliked it and I thought it had way too much yoga. This book reads like it's fan fiction, and I don't know very much about the author or the background. Maybe it is fan fiction of something else, but it just reads like really bad fan fiction, and in a weird way. I think it would have saved the book if it was maybe a little bit sexier, but I really feel that Twilight was sexier than this book. I thought the book tried to come across really intelligent in parts, but just felt really silly, and I wish it had just kind of picked a lane and been really intense and serious and have a ton of history and science, or just have tons and tons of romance and be really, really cheesy. But it was this odd balance that, in my opinion, did not work. The next book I read was The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay. I've heard so much about him and all of his different books, so I was really excited to read this. This is a horror novel about a husband and his husband and their little daughter, and they're going away to relax at a cabin when a group of very creepy individuals show up with some very menacing tools they're holding. And I won't say anything else plot-wise beyond that. I'd heard a lot of people say that they really like, what is it, Head Full of Ghosts a lot more than this, which in a way makes me feel really good because I really liked this, and if I really liked this, and this is a lot of people's least favorite book by him from what I gather, then I think I'm gonna really, really love all of his other books. This book had me guessing the entire time. I thought it was really, really well written, and I cared so deeply about the characters. I was completely shocked at one of the things that happens. If you've read the book, you'll know what I'm talking about. I mean, there were a couple things, I don't want to spoil or allude to anything, but it, you know, went in directions that I really, really did not anticipate, and I was really upset, which as a reader, you're definitely supposed to be reading this book, but I loved the sense of family in this book. I could feel how deeply they cared about each other, and overall just really, really enjoyed it. And this next book I want to mention only because I only have time to film videos on the weekend, and I'm sure I'm going to end up filming this video tomorrow on Monday, so I just want to get it out there and talk about today, but that is The Chestnut Man. This is a detective novel, but it's creepy and gory enough that I would say it falls in the category of kind of horror thriller. But this takes place in Denmark, and it was written, I believe, by the creator of the TV show The Killing. It's told from a bunch of different points of view, but mainly a female and male detective duo who have been kind of forced to work together. I adore all of the different characters and perspectives. They're really unique and don't feel like characters I've ever met in books before. I just realized I never said what the plot was. So this is about a serial killer in Denmark who each time he's targeting mothers, and each time he kills one of these mothers, he leaves a little chestnut man. But like I said, I love the characters. The deaths are very gruesome, and it's been a while since I've read a really, really good detective novel. I only, like I said, have I think 60 pages left. I'll probably finish it tonight, and unless it takes a very terrible turn at the end, I'm just gonna say right now that I do recommend it. Now we're gonna switch and talk a little bit about some movies I've seen lately, because I've seen some new horror that's come out in theaters and a couple on Netflix I want to talk about. So the first one is The Lighthouse, and I was really excited about this because I love the director. The Witch is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. I also adore Robert Pattinson, and I always had this feeling that he was going to be a big movie star beyond just Twilight. I'm sure you guys have seen the trailer, but it's about two men trapped in a, well, they're not trapped, they're working in a lighthouse, and they're slowly going mad. And I thought the performances were excellent. It's very interesting how it's shot. You really feel like you're back in time, and I hated it. I feel terrible saying this because, again, the performances are wonderful. There were some scenes that I really, really enjoyed. A scene at the end really, really shocked me. But I can't help but feel that I would have really liked this if it were a 20-minute short film and not the length that it was. I know that some movies aren't meant to be enjoyable. The Witch, for example, his other film, I don't think is stereotypically enjoyable by any means. There are no moments, you know, where you're like laughing or filled with glee. It's a very dark, somber, slow film, and I like that. But there is something about this, and I really have trouble pinpointing why, that I think objectively it's a decent film, but I was just very, very bored throughout 90% of it. Both men are giving excellent performances, but I can only watch them argue in this lighthouse for so long before I'm just incredibly bored. Just my opinion, it's a very well-made movie, but just not for me. Now, a movie that was made for me, well, not made for me, but that I just loved and I think is worth all of the praise it's getting is Parasite. This is a Korean drama. I'll admit I didn't do a ton of research, and just based on the title alone, I walked in thinking this was going to be kind of a horror movie, and it definitely wasn't, although the second half is quite thrilling. But I have seen so much praise for this movie. This director is amazing. I actually watched one of his other films, The Handmaiden, with my mom last night, which that was a trip and also very good. But anyway, Parasite is about one very wealthy family and one very poor family in Korea. And this lower class family are slowly working their way into the upper class family's lives by taking positions working for them. As everybody has said, I'm sure, who's reviewed this, it goes in a really different direction towards the second half than you think the first half is going to be. But this movie is shot beautifully. It's a really good mixture of shocking, horrifying things that happen, but also lightness and humor. And I really did kind of adore both families. So such a smart, well done film, and I could not recommend it enough. And finally, a movie I wanted to talk about in case maybe you didn't have a chance to see either of those in theaters, one you can just pull up and watch on Netflix, is Backcountry. And Backcountry I watched with my mom a few nights ago when I was back home for Thanksgiving. And this is about a boyfriend and girlfriend. It's very, very loosely based on a true story, who go into the backcountry in Canada, into the woods to go, hiking, and some very horrific things happen. I can't say anything without spoiling it, so I'm not going to mention any scenes. I'll just say that scene, and if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about, was one of the most horrifying scenes I've seen in a horror movie ever. I was watching it with my mom and my friend Kathleen. She was also there, and we all were literally screaming at the same time and covering our faces, and that I feel like really rarely happens, where I'm actively screaming and can't look at the screen. So truly, truly horrifying. And if you're in the mood for a scary outdoor adventure film, could not recommend it enough. So those were, I guess, my life update and then books and movies I've seen lately. I'm guessing, unless I post a video before I go to Ireland, I leave, I think it's December 12th or 13th. The next video you will see will be my Ireland vlog. And again, if you have recommendations on things to do, I don't think we're only gonna have a car for one day, unfortunately. So if you have recommendations outside of those areas I mentioned, I don't know if I'll be able to go, but I cannot wait. I'm so excited to get out of here. I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving if you celebrate, and I hope you guys have been doing really, really well, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.